We must let them know that nothing will stop us, not even the threat of death itself.
I told him not to reach for it. I told him to get his hand out.
You told him to get his ID, sir, and his driver's license. Oh my God, please don't tell me he's dead.
We must let them know that if they beat 100, they still have 1,000 more to beat, and if they beat 1,000, they have 5,000 to beat.
When one speaks of awakening, it means dehypnotization, coming to your senses. But of course, to do that, you have to go out of your mind.
We're in a tumultuous political climate right now. We're seeing lots of racism on the news and social media. Many of us see it in our own lives. And there's lots of racism that's visible. And it looks like it's growing. We get reports from different states that hate crimes are on the rise. And I wanted to make a YouTube channel. This is my first video of 1 million whites against racism. And I want to coalesce a group of anti-racist white people who have good hearts, both conservatives and Democrats and liberals and Republicans, independents, but good white people, well-meaning white people, imperfect white people who want to put an end to racism, who want to learn, who want to grow, who want to do their part, who want to join a community, who want to do the right thing when it's time to do the right thing. It was August 12th, just over a year ago in Charlottesville, South Carolina. Heather Heyer was killed in that alt-right Confederate flag, Unite the Right rally. And she gave her life. She's a good woman. I read a transcript of her eulogy, and her mom said some things that was very touching. She said that Heather had on her Facebook wall, or on her Facebook page, she said, if you're not outraged, you're not paying attention. And it's so true. As a white person, you might not be that sensitive to racism because it doesn't impact you in the same ways. And you don't have the same experiences. And so unless you do your own investigating, unless you have friends that are being impacted or family members that are being impacted, unless you have people close to you who have been impacted that are sharing their stories and sharing their pain, it can be really hard to empathize and even sympathize with somebody because their reality is so much different than yours. But once you start picking up books and listening to people and watching videos and lectures and reading about history and really start to unearth and open your eyes to the real world racism that exists, it can be really hard to understand the impact and the negative impact that it's having on people. And Heather, she's a white girl. She's a white woman. And, I haven't done a lot of reading about her. I don't know that much about her, to be honest. But I do know from what I have read is that she was at that Charlottesville rally because she felt strongly about protesting and making a difference about racism. And that's what her mom talked about in her eulogy. And her mom was, her mom was a white woman, of course, and her dad was a white man. And it was a very typical story that you hear where, the daughter, Heather, would want to talk about racism and bring it up to the family. And, the baby boomer parents are, they're like, we don't like racism, but we don't know that much about it. We don't necessarily want to talk about it all the time. And her mom actually said that her dad would go out into the car and play video games instead of listening. And so the mom would stay inside the house, or they'd, do some barbecuing together, and they'd listen and they'd talk. And the dad would be there too, and and they would debate and share stories, and they'd give them pushback, but they'd listen. And it's really important. And I'm sure that, if you're one of my subscribers, I don't have any subscribers right now. This is my first video, like I said, but if you're one of my subscribers and you're white, this is probably not a dissimilar experience to what you have and what you're going through. And so you're not alone, right? One thing, when you're white, anti-racist, when you're a person who's white and you really want to do something about racism, it can feel isolating, because you might not have people around you who know as much as you, or you don't have people around you feel comfortable being able to talk to about these issues. And if you don't know that much, you might not feel comfortable bringing the subject up to people, whether they know more than you or not, because the conversations can be very charged. And and Lord knows, if you don't say the right things, or you don't know the right things, people who know more than you will beat you up. So there's a lot of landmines in all this, right? There's a lot of landmines. And I would just say, look at Heather Heyer. God bless her soul. If she could give her life up, right? I mean, that's why I use that clip in the intro of that Dodge Charger coming down the street and then running over a crowd full of white people. There's a few black people and probably Asians and Latinos and other people in there too, but that was a primarily white crowd. And a lot of white people are just not taking the bullshit anymore, right? And she was one of them. She sacrificed her life. So if she could sacrifice her life in fighting fascism and racism and sexism and bigotry and oppression, you can have a conversation. You could put your emotions at risk and have a conversation that can be uncomfortable, because at the end of the day, that discomfort that we go through when we're experiencing new things, and the discomfort that we go through when we're having difficult and courageous conversations and opening up a Pandora's box of, racist interactions that, who knows where they're going to lead. Usually they end up having a good impact on people. If even if you do it the wrong way, just having the conversation helps. But if she could give her life, you could talk to your friend about this. You could talk to your neighbor. You could call people out in a good way, in a tactful way that works. You don't want to call people out in a negative way, but we could all do a little bit more, including myself. And I think it's important that white people, now I'm a black man, I'm an African American man, and I recognize that it's not easy for white people to talk about racism. And when white people do good things in fighting racism, they're not really celebrated enough, in my opinion. And I know there's a lot of pushback on that, and I'm not trying to be an apologist. I'm not trying to cape for white folks, but I got to be honest, though. White people deserve some credit for as much racism that's been going on, and these large upticks in racism that we've been seeing. There's a lot of good, well-intended, hard-working, courageous white people who are putting their ass on the line to make a difference. And I want to celebrate those people. And I want to encourage more people to be like that. And so that's why I started this YouTube channel. I want people to feel empowered. I want to create a community where white, anti-racists, and people who hate bigotry can come and share their thoughts and learn from one another. I want to learn. I want to grow. And so that's why I'm going to make this channel. And I'm not going to stop until I have 1 million viewers. And then when I get 1 million, I'll probably go for 2 million viewers. And I mean, that's a lofty goal. I don't know. Can I get 1 million white people who hate racism? Can I get 1 million whites against racism? I believe that I can. That's my goal. And that's why I'm going to do it. But there'll be a lot of people who tell me I'm wasting my time. That white people don't care about racism that much. I see it in Facebook groups. I've heard people say it to my face. And we're going to put it to the test. So that's why I'm here. And so, you know, it's much racism that we're seeing in the news, which is quite a bit from, what was her name? Permit Patty, the woman who called the cops on those brothers in Oakland for barbecuing some ribeye steaks in the park in Oakland. Or that girl, she was hiding behind it looked like a brick wall because she was calling the cops on that like a 10-year-old black girl for selling water out in front of an apartment building, and she called the cops on her. You saw her crouch down. I mean, we're seeing that. There's the police shootings. Got the problem with mass incarceration. This day-to-day latent disrespect that black people and other people of color have to experience. I mean, there's a whole lot of racism that's out here. But I could say this about that. One thing that leaves me hopeful about this is because for the first time in my life, and I'm in my early 40s, for the first time in my life, I'm seeing white people call out other white people about their racism in a public fashion in ways that I've never seen before. And that's fucking excellent. Bravo. Bravo, because when I was a kid, I'm telling you, I saw a lot of racism, starting at a young age. I'll talk about it in my later videos. I'm not going to talk about it now, but I saw a lot. And probably starting about maybe 9 years old, I remember I would tell myself and ask my mom and my dad, and I'd say, how come white people don't ever tell me that other white people are racist? You think that they'd warn me? And they never did. I never in my life, until I was in my early 30s, where white people would tell me that other white people were racist. So when I see other white people calling out other white people on the news, on Facebook, on Twitter, just really everywhere. And not only that, these stories are making my local news. They're making national news. It's on CNN, it's on NBC, ABC, it's on, their local affiliates. It's just crazy. And white people are just not taking the shit anymore. And that's what this channel is about. For like white people who are not taking the shit anymore. We don't want this alt-right stuff getting out of control. We don't want this white nationalism, these Nazis getting out of control. These people are young people that are getting into that. And it's like a meme, right? It's like a meme. Like one of the pictures you send one another for fun, you crack jokes with your buddies. Those are viral memes, like racism and the alt-right and white supremacy. This is a viral meme, and it spreads from person to person. And if white people themselves don't shut this shit down, it will never be shut down. It's got to be internal. And so that's why I'm making this video. Now, if I could say anything to you, like this video, subscribe to this video, subscribe to my channel, because I'm going to be making video after video, and I'm going to be relentless. And I know maybe this video, it's not necessarily the best. Hopefully it's worth your time, but I'm going to get better at this. And over the days, over the weeks, over the months, over the years, as I'm approaching 1 million followers and subscribers, my content's just going to get better and better and better. And I'm going to remember you guys. I'm going to, especially my early subscribers, I'm going to remember who you are. And I look forward to that. I look forward to growing together and fighting this oppression together. So I'm really feeling fortunate that I have this, the YouTube and, my cell phone and my computer and Wi-Fi, and I got the technology at my fingertips. I've got the mind to be able to pull this off and to work with you guys and to make a difference. So here I am, here you are, and we're going to go get it.